Welcome everyone to the webinar. We're going to go and get started. I know some of our emails are just going out. There's a ton of emails, so there will be some more people joining us as we go. But as you join, please go ahead and mute your microphones. We will have some time for questions and answers throughout the presentation. We're really excited. This is we've had a lot of people interested in this webinar, so we're really excited to talk about this topic. There's a lot of buzz going around in the industry right now about AI and how it's used in websites, SEO, and things like that. So we're excited. We're grateful that you're here. And if you have any questions, you can also go ahead and send them in the chat message section here in the Google Meets link. So we look forward to the webinar. Dr. Tyler, I'll let you take it from here. There will be more people joining. I'll go ahead and add them in as they join.
Awesome. So thank you everyone for watching live and anybody who watches the replay. So we're going to be go ahead and jumping in here. My name's Dr. Tyler Coles. This is Tyler Lovell. He's been working with me for almost a decade now. He started working for me in my orthodontic office many years back. He's worked with me in different agency aspects. So yeah, between the two of us, we've done a lot of marketing for a lot of orthodontic offices. So this is kind of our background. I was a practicing orthodontist for about 13 years. Me and my brother built a 7-practice location in Phoenix. We were the largest privately owned orthodontic practice in Arizona. We had over 50 employees. Almost all of our patients came from digital marketing. So I was the chief marketing officer. I built our web page. I did Google ads. I did SEO. I did Facebook ads. I did radio ads, TV ads, basically any kind of ad you can do, postcards, Valpak. I was doing it all for our website and for our practice. So I got really good at doing marketing for orthodontists. Tyler, like I said, has been with me for many years in many capacities. So he's kind of seen and been with me for this ride. So yeah, with AI and everything that's going on now, it is kind of changing a lot of the things that we used to do and the things that we have to do moving forward. And so it's an exciting time. There's a lot of opportunities because it is early. And if you're proactive, you can kind of ride this wave and get in front of it. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how to capitalize on these new trends. So if you haven't started changing your behavior yet, other people have. Rather than going to Google and typing, people pull up their phone and just talk to ChatGPT or sometimes Claude or Google Gemini, and they're asking for recommendations from their large language model instead of Googling in the search tab. And so they're asking for who's the best orthodontist near me for Invisalign or braces for my kids. And so, yeah, it's different than how it used to be with SEO, where we would try to do our ninja tricks to rank in Google, and we just had to trick and fool the algorithm and be better than our competitors at the algorithm. Now the AI is so smart that our old SEO tricks are not working the same, and it's a totally different playbook. So that's what we're going to be talking about, because more and more parents are now talking to their phones and their large language models or ChatGPT, and that is where that traffic is getting directed. So as a test, a few weeks back, I did a test and I just said, who's the best orthodontist in Portland, Maine? I don't know any doctor there. I don't know a single doctor up that area. I just wanted to see who it recommended. So I just picked a random city and I got a recommendation. And so I went ahead and asked ChatGPT, why did you recommend that office over all the others? And it was telling what it said. So I went and checked out their website too, the one that it recommended. And the website was not super modern. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't what I would consider like a beautiful website. It wasn't like really impressive. So what was it that made ChatGPT choose that practice over all the other options in that city? And so ChatGPT told me why it picked that winner. It said, this one has the most reviews by far. It has over 600 5-star reviews, and it lists those reviews on the homepage, and also in the Google business profile, those reviews are obviously listed. The website did talk about how long the doctor had been working. So it talked about how much experience they had. And then it clearly listed their credentials, that they were board certified, top 1%, and their other credentials about the doctor. Those were in the bio of the doctor. And so ChatGPT or any large language model, their number one goal is to not be wrong. And so they're going to lean into things that they can validate and that shows authority for that practice. And so things that they can validate is how many reviews did they have? How long have they been a doctor? Have they been an orthodontist? And then do they have the right credentials? And so those are the things that ChatGPT said it picked this office out of all the other options as the one to recommend. So ChatGPT went on to explain to me that AI rankings are not who is clinically best. They are who has the strongest public evidence of being reputable. So again, that's the strongest line, is you need public evidence of being reputable. The ChatGPT or the large language models need to be able to find the information about you and your practice and validate that it is accurate. Because the only thing they care about is they want to be accurate. They're not going to care about all of our SEO ninja tricks we used to do and all the stuff we used to, stuff keywords in different pages to try to rank higher and kind of game the system. ChatGPT and these other AI models are way too smart for that. They are validating real information as much as they can and trying to make sure that what you say about yourself is true and that you are the most reputable in that area. So if you have been practicing a long time, that is going to be an advantage, because history and having a lot of reviews or a long history of having your website live or a long history of having your Google My Business profile live, or you've been practicing for many years, all those things are going to factor into ChatGPT's decision to recommend you versus the others. So history beats beauty. So the beautiful website does not win this. It is who ChatGPT thinks is the most reputable out of all the options. So one thing to keep in mind is that ChatGPT adoption is moving faster than anything else that has ever happened in the history of the internet. So if we look at how long it took to adopt 100 million users, the internet took 84 months. It took 54 months for 100 million people to get on Facebook, 30 months for Instagram, 9 months for TikTok. And in only 2 months' time, over 100 million users were already on ChatGPT. So again, this is one of those things that you have to get in front of. You have to figure this out, because all of the search traffic that's on Google is slowly migrating to ChatGPT or one of the other large language models. And the current stats are over 900 million people use ChatGPT every week. And yeah, you can be sure that a lot of the parents in your neighborhood are using it every day, and most likely most of you are as well. And this was, back in February 2026 when these numbers were taken. So it's probably well beyond that now. So we're going to show you what we're seeing in all the practices that we manage in US and Canada. And the search traffic, we can track it inside of Google Analytics to see where these people are finding these pages. So, we'll have reports that show Google, Facebook ads, Google ads, and we're starting to see ChatGPT recommendations grow each and every week as the source traffic for our websites. So it is recommending people already, and it's going to keep doing that. That's going to climb each month. So AI is already deciding who gets recommended. Unfortunately, most of our websites are already optimized for the Google algorithm from 2019. And that Google algorithm optimization, where we're all trying to rank for SEO, does not always translate directly to ranking for ChatGPT. So we're going to talk specifically about what AI search actually looks for, what you can do on your website to help increase your visibility. Again, why early adopters are going to win this race. And we'll talk about what you need to do for the next 30 days to get your website and your practice to be the one recommended by ChatGPT and other AI tools. So again, back in the day, our SEO tricks were trying to get backlinks to the website, trying to do really technical stuff that would make the Google algorithm find us over our competitors. And it was always a game of what is Google and their algorithm looking for right now that we can kind of game the system on our websites to rank ahead of everybody else. And so there are entire companies that this is all they do. And if you get really good at it, you could rank #1 on Google, and it worked pretty well. But like I said, right now, ChatGPT and all the other AI models are so smart that these things don't really matter that much to what they decide. So things like keyword stuffing, where you put in orthodontist in Phoenix, 50 times on a page, that used to work to get you ranked on Google. ChatGPT doesn't really care about that like it used to. So you still want it on the page, you just don't need it 50 times. 50 times does not help you rank over your competitors. It just needs to know you're an orthodontist in Phoenix. So getting a whole bunch of backlinks where we used to get other pages linking to our page to build our authority, that used to work really well. Now that almost doesn't matter because ChatGPT can track all those links instantly and know if they're real links, if they're valid. And most of the time, those are not really worth doing anymore. And again, you can't hack the system anymore because it's too smart. You actually have to be legitimate, and you have to make sure all of your valid credentials are easily accessible by the large language models. So the things that matter most are in this order. Your reviews. This is the #1 thing Google, or not Google, but ChatGPT is going to look at. So if you did nothing else that I talk about in this presentation, you must start getting reviews on Google steady and consistently. Obviously, reviews on other platforms like Yelp and other ones help too, but Google's going to still be the one that ChatGPT puts the most weight into. The next thing you must prioritize is your Google business profile. So just to be clear, that is, this type of profile here. Your name, your images, your services, your products, and these posts, your profiles. So again, we're wanting to make this super visible to ChatGPT.
Do you mind sharing that, please, Dr. Tyler? I don't know, you might have to share a different screen, but I just want to take a minute to address this because a lot of doctors actually fail to manage this. There's a lot to go over, a lot to market, a lot of different angles when it comes to marketing, but Google My Business is often forgotten about, and this is the #1 tool for AI. So as Dr. Tyler is sharing this, Google My Business is super important. As I have marketing audits and calls with doctors, either agencies are not doing it or the offices aren't doing it themselves. And so Google My Business is one of the biggest priorities for AI right now.
Yeah. So can you see it now, Tyler?
Yep.
All right, cool. So this is Google Business. This is your profile. So the things that AI is going to look at, and remember, it wants to know, are you a legitimate business? Are you still in business? And can it trust you? So things like how often you update these photos, it's going to measure that, especially Google Gemini, which has all this information. And obviously your reviews are going to come into it. Does this website go to the right page? Is your address correct here as it is listed on your website and other directories? The products that you're listing yourself as providing, if someone's saying who's the best office in Gilbert for Invisalign, if you don't have Gilbert, Arizona and Invisalign right here, again, that's like one thing that ChatGPT can't verify, that you are in Gilbert and doing Invisalign. And then all of this, it's going to read, and then it's going to check to see how often you're updating these little posts. Again, because it wants to know that you're still in business and you're still staying active. And so just those things alone are going to factor in whether ChatGPT decides you or someone near you gets recommended. So reviews, #1. #2 is Google Business Profile. So you can see we still haven't even gotten to your website. The next thing is website content. So this is still where the old website things that we used to do for SEO come into play, because on your website, you need to list what you do, where you're located, and then you need to also talk about your credentials. Are you an orthodontist, your certifications, and those all need to be listed as text and not as an image. So again, like ChatGPT is reading the text and the code of your page. And so you need to have it listed out exactly that you're an orthodontist with your credentials, and listed out when you graduated from school, the school you went to, all those things are going to help validate that you're an orthodontist and it can recommend you. The last thing is NAP consistency. This is name, address, and phone number. Sorry. And so the name of your practice, your practice address, and your practice phone number, you want this to be the same across all platforms, especially those that are going to be higher validation. So like the AAO website, you want to make sure that you are listed on their website with your name, address, and phone number correct. The Invisalign website or any other, appliance provider website, all those websites have more, validation than you do, more authority. And so you want to be on their websites with your exact name, address, and phone number and a link to your website. Because remember, like ChatGPT is crawling everything instantly, and it's going to go validate what you have on your website against all these directories. And if it's correct and it's accurate and everything else is checked, it's going to be confident in recommending you over all your competitors. So those are the big things that you need to focus on and prioritize moving forward. So let's talk about reviews. One thing to notice is that you want to have steady reviews coming in and not spikes. So back in the day, we used to do like review campaigns where we would tell our staff like, hey, this month we're going to get 50 reviews. And if you guys get 50 reviews, everybody gets lunch. And so we would do that and all the staff would hustle really hard and get reviews and we'd get a big spike and then it would fall off to nothing until we did that again. That's better than not doing it. But again, we're wanting to see consistent reviews coming in every week because the AI models are looking to see, are you consistently getting reviews and are these reviews legit and valid? And so having a strategy to get consistent reviews is going to be the most helpful. So we have a couple ways we've done it in my practice back in the day. So we would have these little tap cards in the back and in the front. And they're a little card that you can either take a screenshot of a QR code or you can tap your phone against it and it automatically pops up your business. And so we would always have a standing thing with the staff that anybody who gets a review, sometimes it would get like a little bonus, or we would say, hey, this month, if you guys can get this many reviews as a team, we're going to treat everybody to lunch. And we would just have those kind of be an evergreen thing and an expectation that we're always going to be working on getting reviews. So the front desk, the back office, everybody who interacted with patients would have one of these cards nearby. And so you could just tap it and it's super easy for patients to leave your review. So that's one way we did it. There are a lot of automated systems out there. They're probably worth looking at and investing in. We found that this was almost the easiest way to do it because one, like our staff would only ask the nice patients that liked us for the review. So we didn't have to worry about getting some negative reviews through our system. And then it was usually most patients were happy to do it. So this is a system that worked for us really well. We always got lots of reviews every week, but find a system that works for you because if you did nothing else but get reviews, that's going to help boost you over everybody else on for the AI search results. So again, your Google business profile, make sure all this is correct. Address, phone, website, services, posts. Fill out every single field, make sure everything is completed, and then update it as often as you can with new images and new posts. That's going to just tell Google and all the other AI models that you are a legitimate business and still active. And then on your website, if AI can't read it, it doesn't exist. So the website needs to be structured properly so that these large language models can easily scrape what's on the page and read it. So like I said, plain text answers. You need service pages specifically for Invisalign or braces. You need the doctor bios and credentials written out. So you don't want like an image with a text in it because that's going to be harder for the large language models to scrape. You don't want a PDF download somewhere because the same thing, like they may or may not be able to scrape that. And you don't want an award badge. Like if you have, Invisalign top 1% provider as like an image, but you don't have that written out in text anywhere, there's a good chance that that's not going to be read. So you want to make this as easy as possible, that when your site is crawled, all these things are easily discoverable. And then, like I said, the NAP consistency, go check to see if your website, your Google business, and all the other places, Invisalign website, Health Grades, Google, Yelp, Facebook, and the AAO, all have the same consistency. So those are just some quick, easy things you can do to start boosting your rankings right now. So next, let's talk about website changes that you can do to help you win visibility. So we already talked about having your identity in plain HTML, but you also want to have a clear service page for everything you do, and also for the locations that you service. So if you do braces in Phoenix, Arizona, you should have a page that's all about braces in Phoenix, Arizona. If you do Invisalign in Phoenix, Arizona, you need a page that says Invisalign in Phoenix, Arizona. If you do lingual braces, if you do, braces for kids, early treatment in Phoenix, Arizona, you need a page for that thing in that city. Because again, if you're thinking about how a parent is going to search for you, it's who is the best place to go for Invisalign in Phoenix, Arizona. And if you have a page that has the service, the location, and lots of credentials and proof about that, that's going to help increase the trust that ChatGPT has in your practice.
Yeah, I want to point out something too. Can we go back? So identifying in plain HTML. So there's a quick way that you all could audit this yourself on your own website. When I go and I do audits with doctors, if I drag my cursor over, say, the address or the phone number, and it's just like a blob and it moves instead of copying the exact text, that's what it's reading, right? So if you want to go to your own website and do a quick audit yourself, I think that's one of the most easiest things you could do, and ask your own web provider, hey, like, can you change this and make this, readable as HTML? I think it's really easy for you all to do. Again, it's just some clarity there. I don't know if you want to go in more detail there, Dr. Tyler, but I was just thinking about that. When I go to doctors and I click on the address and I can't copy it, that's kind of a problem, especially for AI reading it.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is it can't be an image. It needs to be text on the page. So if you can highlight it, then it's text on the page. Mm-hmm. So that's the biggest thing, is no images. We need actual text that can be read by a robot. Mm-hmm. And then other things on your website, we need to have text that actually sounds like you're talking to a human now. So back in the day, there were websites that would have search terms like teeth braces, because that was something that people were typing in Google. So someone would go try to make a web page that was optimized for the search term teeth braces. So again, that's not something anybody ever says, really. So that's not a good effort to make a page optimized for teeth braces. We should do braces for kids, braces for adults, something that's going to sound like a human. Because again, we don't need to try to game the system to win the Google robots. We need to do it as if a human's going to read it, because we have an AI system that's as smart as a human that's going to actually read your content. So the next thing you need to remember is you need your unique selling propositions, or your USPs. So ChatGPT wants to know why it should recommend you over all the others. So again, the reviews always help, how long you've been in practice, but we need to write all those things on the site. So if you're board certified, that should be clearly listed on the site. How long you've been in practice, how many patients you've treated, the awards you received. If you have over 600 five-star Google reviews, write that on the page. And then, any awards, any recognitions you have, write it at least in your doctor bio page, but you could probably put this on the home page too and make this super accessible. So again, you want something that only you can say about yourself that doesn't make you look like everybody else, because ChatGPT wants to know who is the least wrong person to recommend, and we're giving it all the reasons why we should recommend us over our competitors. So back in the day, we used to have to optimize our websites for the robots, for the Google robots. now, because the robots are so smart, we're optimizing it for the robots and the humans, which is kind of nice because we don't have to write pages that say teeth braces. We can write them to actually talk like a normal human would talk. And the good news is that's how ChatGPT picks the best one. And that's also how parents are going to decide who to choose over the others. So just as an example of how you could set up your content, if you're going to have a page about Invisalign, you want to have kind of a silo all about Invisalign if you want to be recommended for Invisalign. So on your Invisalign page, you should have before and afters clearly shown. And then you say before and after. You should have a FAQ section all about Invisalign. You should have a service page dedicated to Invisalign. And if you can find reviews in Google that mention Invisalign, put those on your page as well. And so when somebody goes to ask ChatGPT, who is the best doctor for Invisalign in city name, it now sees all this content all about Invisalign, all about you. And if your pages are built out more than your competitors, it's likely going to, rank you higher than others, assuming all the other factors are the same. So there are some technical settings in the back end of websites that have to be set. Most of the time, these are going to be set, but again, if it's worth asking your web agency if this is set. So you have to allow ChatGPT and allow Claude to access your website. There are times where they're disallowed, and these agents cannot crawl it, and you're not going to rank for anything if it's not allowed. And one other thing that's come up recently is ChatGPT actually relies heavily on Bing instead of Google sometimes, which is kind of funny. I don't know if that's always going to be the case, but right now, ChatGPT really likes Bing. So if you can, everybody does like the Google Search Console as the default way to rank your site. You can actually do Bing Places and Bing Webmaster Tools to help outrank your competition. So Bing Places is kind of like Google My Business, but for Bing. So again, it's been one of those things that we've kind of ignored, but now it's worth doing if you aren't already. This is something new that we just kind of discovered. So that's going to go into our workflow moving forward for some of our clients. So with AI, it kind of gets into a loop where if you're recommended by AI and people go to your website, it knows like when you go to visit that website, and if you choose that practice, AI is going to recommend them more, and it just kind of gets in a loop. So if you can be one of the early ones that gets recommended, that's going to compound over time because it gets the positive signals back that this was the right office to recommend. And they got to your site, they clicked around, they called your office, and all those signals are going to tell ChatGPT exactly what it wants to see, that this was the correct place to recommend. The user found what they wanted. And so early visibility compounds. And the faster you can get ahead of this, the harder it's going to be to overtake you. So this is the time to really put that time and effort into getting ahead, is because those who adopt it first are probably going to get a lead that it's going to be really hard to catch later on. So the next phase of ChatGPT that's coming is ChatGPT ads. So February 2026, the ads pilot went live. May of 2026, there's the self-serve open. So smaller advertisers are starting to use ChatGPT ads. Currently, it's still restricted for health businesses, so we can't do this yet as orthodontists, but you can be sure that it's probably going to come, at some point. So right now, organic visibility is still the only thing we can optimize for. It's still the most important thing, but I'm sure, and not too far in the future, there are likely going to be ChatGPT ads, just like there are Google ads that are going to end up taking a lot of our marketing budget. So capture the organic attention while you can, and then get ready for ads later on as these things evolve. So again, getting recommended is the first step, but making sure that your site is optimized for the patient is the next thing. Because if AI recommends you and the parent visits your site, it can tell if you book or if you exit. If you exit immediately, ChatGPT is going to know, okay, they didn't actually want to go to that site. That was the wrong one. And now it's no longer going to recommend you. So you need a website that converts. If you remember, our early example was a website was winning that was really ugly because of their other ranking authority. But over time, if their website does not convert patients, they're probably going to get outranked by somebody else who has a better website. So we still need the reviews, the Google business profile to get recognized, but we need our website to actually convert and do its job so that those positive feedback loops goes back to the AI. So your 30-day action plan, we talked a lot about a lot of things. Here are the things that we should focus on over the next month. So you can go to ChatGPT right now and ask it what it thinks about your website, what it thinks about your Google business profile. It can go look at it all and it'll tell you what things you should improve or what things you should fix. Ask it who it would recommend in your area over all the others. And it will tell you what about your practice is lacking versus all your competitors. So this will be really helpful to see what are the things that I'm doing now that I should do more of or do less of to overtake my competitors. So that's week one, is just to go figure out what the biggest things you can do right now. The next is go fix your site, your service pages, your Google business profile, your NAP, your name, address, and phone number. Make sure that's consistent everywhere. This is one of those things that you can get it fixed once and then you don't have to keep doing this over and over. And then after that, we need to do reviews. We need to figure out what process is going to work for your practice to consistently get reviews, because that is by far going to be the #1 ranking factor for ChatGPT for now. And so if you do nothing else, make sure you're prioritizing getting more and more reviews for your practice each and every week. So how Ortho-Boost helps our agency. So we're taking all the lessons we learn about ranking for SEO, ChatGPT, and other things, and we're building websites for those things. So like I said, the Bing stuff we just learned about. Now we got to go figure out how to deploy that, implement across the board. We do paid ads. So we do paid Google and Facebook ads. When ChatGPT starts doing ads for healthcare, we'll likely jump on that. And then, yeah, we still optimize for SEO. There's still a lot of people searching on Google, so it's still a valid channel to optimize for, but we're also at the same time making sure we're doing what we can to rank for the AI search and optimizing there. So reviews is something that you'll need to figure out specifically for your practice, but we have a lot of ideas, a lot of things we can suggest, but it's not something that we can do for you. It more has to be done at the practice level. So the next steps, if you would like help or like some suggestions, you can schedule a call with Tyler. And what he can do is actually an AI audit. We've got some cool tools that will scrape your website and show you the visibility of your website and how you rank versus all your competitors. And we'll also go over what are the things that you could do to potentially outrank those around you. So that is a totally free call, free audit. We're happy to do that for you to give you a little bit more visibility and what are the next steps that you could do. So yeah, that's kind of the main thing. If you want to schedule a call, go to startorthoboost.com and there's a button on the homepage where you can go and schedule that call. And Tyler's going to walk you through the process. But now if we have any questions or things we can cover, we can open it up for some questions.
Yeah, any questions, guys? Go ahead and unmute your mics if you have any questions about anything related to AI, website builds, SEO, AI, or anything like that. So we're happy to answer any questions for you. And if not, I have some recommendations I can share too.
Yep, or feel free to chat in if you'd like. That also works if you don't want to unmute.
One thing too, as we wait for some questions, there's actually some really cool free tools out there where you can actually go and audit your own website. And also you could just go click around on your own website. I was actually just meeting with the doctor today, and a lot of the links on his website were broken. You don't need cool AI tools to fix this. If you focus on AI, Google My Business, all the stuff that we talked about in this webinar, you'll do good. But if your website is broken, and if you don't know that, you're losing kind of leads, right? So I'd go ahead and click on your website, make sure everything's working, and then go ahead and build out a lot of these AI tools, AI factors that we talked about tonight. So any questions before we hop off? We appreciate everyone being here tonight.